What's up, YouTube? Welcome to my channel. I appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate you checking out this video. What I want to talk about is this Biden impeachment inquiry that the House has launched. Okay. I think it's pretty interesting for a few reasons, and I'm going to get into it. There's two questions that we need to ask. Will Biden be impeached? And can he be impeached? And what I'm going to do is play this video here and give you a little bit of my reaction to it. But I want you guys to listen to what this first individual is saying because it's empowering. It's motivating. I watched it yesterday, I guess when it came live, and man, they're spot on. Everything that this group of people is saying is exactly what most of America is saying, in my opinion. Okay, so let's roll a clip.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the swamp. As you can see, I'm joined by a great crowd of patriots, Americans here fighting for the American people. And I want you to know that this meeting, this gathering, this message today is about the American people. We're not here to talk about brinksmanship. No one is here interested in a pause in government funding. What we're interested in is taking the Biden boot off the neck of the American people. In the 5 weeks I've been gone, just give you a quick summary. Card check rolling out of the Department of Labor. The Department of Justice, of course, continues to prosecute their political enemies while leaving criminals run rampant across our streets.
Trump.
The president disrespected and insulted the people of Hawaii after their houses were burned down. Alejandro Mayorkas is literally daring us to impeach him. He can't be bothered with whatever the law says. The people that I represent, American citizens, are now being forced to compete against workers, people coming illegally in the form of hundreds of thousands every single month across our southern border. The people in the city that I represent, the capital city of Harrisburg, are dying from fentanyl this week, and there's not a damn thing being done about it. Not a damn thing being done about it. We're sick of the theater. We're tired of the Washington theater. Go home and tell them anything. Tell them we're working for them and all that stuff. Nothing we're doing is changing their lives. A government that tells you you can't buy the stove you want or drive the car you want is a government of tyranny, and there's no freedom in America.
Communism. That's the government of communism. They are slowly desensitizing you to communistic ways, and you don't even see it.
We're not interested in a continuing resolution that continues the policies and the spending of the Biden, Schumer, Pelosi era, and we're not going to vote for it. We didn't vote for it last December, and we're not going to vote for it now. So we're here to tell you the American people are sick of it. They can't afford their electricity bill. They can't afford the gas bill, and they damn sure can't afford the grocery bill. We're here to put our foot down and say to this place right here, it stops now. The power of the purse is in the legislature. And the way you stop all this craziness of the Biden administration, the tyranny of the Biden administration, is to stop giving them money.
I mean, you don't have to be a genius or a politician for that not to resonate with you. Stop giving them money. All right. And that's going to be the next move for these folks. No funding. They're not going to approve any more funding. You guys, we got $32 trillion in debt in this country. It's a little bit over $100,000 per person that you owe, that I owe, because of these individuals. Okay? American citizens garner $4.9 trillion with our taxes. Every week or every other week when you get paid and it says federal income tax withheld, it's going straight to these politicians for them to do as they want with it. Not what we want, as they want, to further their agenda, to push their narrative through censorship and media control. This stuff is so deep, you guys, you probably haven't even cracked the surface because some of you don't even pay attention to what's going on around you. You don't pay attention in your own state. You don't pay attention in the country, let alone the world. There's so much going on right now. It's absolutely disgusting. And we American people are divided. Nothing but division because of the hatred that these individuals spew by way of media and social media influence. There's some channels on YouTube that just will never get in the algorithm because they say these keyword phrases that they have been allowed to censor. All right. I challenge you right now to look up Missouri versus Joseph Biden and see what just took place a few days ago. See if 22 judges didn't rule in favor of the state of Missouri, saying that yes, the government did physically and actively pursue social media companies like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and tell them if this word comes out, and I'll just go ahead and say the word COVID, pandemic, vaccine, masked, unmasked, they actually censored that type of content. They censored parents, citizens, people that have a voice. They censored them. They allowed their voice not to be heard. So what we're dealing with right now is not a freedom of speech issue. It's a freedom of reach. They will shadow ban you. I'm sure you've heard it. If not, look it up. They will not put the algorithm in your favor. You see what I'm saying? And we can get into all that stuff. You guys like and subscribe because I've got nothing but truth and facts here, okay? And we're going to go over it together. This isn't Republican versus Democrat, all that crap, okay? It's nothing but unity between American people where we stand up and we let the government know we're not doing this anymore. That's the only way to fix these problems, okay? Let's roll the clip.
That I turn it over to the great senator from Florida, Mr. Scott.
Y'all listen, I'm only going to
Thank
play
you,
a couple of
Secretary.
these and then I'm going to give you my thoughts on it,
First off,
okay?
let's look at what's going on here. We've had a 1.8% increase in our population
Look at
since
this.
2019. The budget's up 55%.
Y'all, these are receipts, okay? These gentlemen and gentlewomen right here, gentlemen and gentlewomen, are bringing receipts for you to see. These are receipts. That's something a lot of politicians will not show you.
The actual facts, the data, the receipts to their claims.
Would anybody do that with a personal life? Nobody would do that. That's $400,000 of new spending per new person. It's unconscionable what they're doing. We're never going to get inflation under control. We've got now. If you're going to get a mortgage, it's over 7.5%.
7%.
You're going to get a car, your interest rate's at the highest in 23 years.
Mortgages went from 2.5% to 7%, people.
If you have a credit card, the highest interest rate on credit cards, I think, in history.
Credit cards are up to 34.99%.
35% interest. People, do your own math on that with your own credit card debt.
Because I know most of you watching this probably have some credit card debt. Look at that data, you guys. It's absolutely disgusting. All right. 35% interest on credit cards. Mind you, America, for the first time, just broke $1 trillion. That means all of us have accumulated $1 trillion on credit cards. And of course, it's favorable for people to say,
Well, the pandemic happened.
yeah, it did happen and it did hurt a lot of people. But if you still worked and were not affected by any means during the pandemic, like me, I worked at a state prison. I was still at work the entire time. Okay. Some people lost their jobs. I understand that. All right. Some people had rental properties, but the government said you can't evict people for not paying. A lot of people were put in strains that some of you may not even understand took place. Okay. But we just cracked $1 trillion in credit card debt. American citizens did for the first time. It's ridiculous.
So the Biden administration, their economics is hurting all of our families. I thank God for what the Freedom Caucus is doing in the House. If they wouldn't stand up, if they don't stand up, nobody's standing up. They stood up on the debt ceiling, and they fought for a great bill. Unfortunately, it didn't end up that way, but they fought for a great bill. We've got to stop this insanity. On top of that, in my state, we've had 2 hurricanes. I can't make sure the federal government's funded to even take care of disasters. And the Federal Secretary of Agriculture won't even give money to my farmers and my ranchers for the hurricane 11 months ago.
You hear that? The USDA, federally funded, federally created program, will not even assist these farmers from a hurricane from 11 months ago. They lost crops, machinery, property. Their lives were turned upside down. They are insured. They are protected. Pay them.
We'll have a bill, then we're going to get that done also. But thank God for these people standing up here, or this will not change. Now I'm going to turn it over to Chip.
Thanks, Senator.
Get him, Chip.
Well, thank you, Senator. Thank you to my friend, the chairman of the Freedom Caucus, Scott Perry, and all my colleagues here and friends who are representing people from across this country who are fed up. They're fed up of a government that's out of control.
Out of
And
control.
here's the thing. Our founding fathers, in creating this country, created separation of powers. It is incumbent upon those of us with election certificates, particularly in the House of Representatives, but also the Senate, to stand up at this end of Pennsylvania Avenue and hold the other end of Pennsylvania Avenue and the executive branch accountable. A president and an executive branch that is out of control. My question for my colleagues, particularly my Republican colleagues, is when is it enough?
When?
When is it enough to stand up and do what you campaign to do and use the power of the purse to stop this administration from trampling the American people?
And you know what he's saying there is the Republicans that are in the House, the Republicans that are in the Senate, they're not even on the same page. They want to sit here and bicker and argue for the completely wrong reasons, you guys. And it's blowing us out of the water. Okay? That's all it's doing. They want to sit there and bicker and argue to try to push a different political agenda and not focus on what's important right now, which is taking care of the American people. That's something they don't want to do. And Chip here is letting you guys know that. You hear him speaking out saying, when is it enough, Republicans? It's both sides of the aisle, you guys. Don't sit here and think, oh, that's just a Republican talking point. That guy's just MAGA extremist. Oh, that guy's just a Biden lover. No, it's both sides of the aisle, okay? We're sitting here divided arguing about nonsense. Well, they push their own agenda and they get things done.
Spending is out of control. Federal government will spend $2 trillion more than it takes in this year to fund the very agencies and programs at war with the American people.
Man, did you guys? I'm going to replay that real quick. And I want you to hear what this man said. Okay? What they're going to spend is more than our budget. And they're using it to benefit them. Gas is through the roof, groceries. I don't even need to carry on. Listen to what this man said.
Spending is out of control. Federal government will spend $2 trillion more than it takes in this year to fund the very agencies and programs at war with the American people.
We can't even afford to go after Trump on the inside. Department of Justice, FBI, CIA, you hear about the corruption. Okay, at whatever level you hear about it, it exists. We're paying those agencies to have a job for them to attack each other using the legal system. But we can't even afford to do that. We're $2 trillion short.
Inflation is opposed to 17% across the board tax on Americans. We've added $1.5 trillion in debt since the so-called debt deal. We are now spending more on interest on the debt than we are in defending the United States of America.
What?
Are you kidding me? No, he's telling the truth. We're spending more just in the interest payment to the debt than we are protecting our own country. If that doesn't scare you, then you're just asleep right now, okay? I'm going to let this man finish, and I'm going to give you a little bit of my
The
comments.
Department of Defense is threatening our national defense by turning our military into a social engineering experiment wrapped in a uniform. COVID tyranny is rearing its ugly head again. It was announced today, CIA whistleblowers told the COVID Select Committee that the CIA bribed its own analysts to deny the Wuhan lab leak theory. Healthcare system broken by Washington and big insurance while average Americans foot the bill. Energy. We're destroying our ability to have reliable energy. The Inflation Reduction Act's $1.2 trillion handout to unreliable wind and solar, big corporations and rich leftists, and the Chinese Communist Party remain in effect right now. DOJ is advancing a politicized form of justice, targeting former President Trump, targeting
There you
dads
go.
like Scott Smith in Loudoun County, which
This
thankfully
man's telling
Governor
you.
Youngkin just pardoned. Mark Houck, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, for defending his son. And perhaps most of all, as a Texan, and for all of us, particularly a few New Yorkers these days, perhaps people are paying attention to a border that is so devastatingly broken that Americans are dying.
Man, and you guys probably don't even know how devastatingly broken the border is, but I'm going to tell you real quick in a nutshell, okay? Just talking about the fentanyl crisis. The Mexican cartel gets their fentanyl from China. So China is supplying the cartel. Our government is allowing this crap into America to terrorize American families, to cause overdoses and turmoil in our lives. We're getting addicted, okay? Understand what I'm saying here. China is fueling the cartel who's bringing it in. That's an interesting fact, okay? But they're destroying American lives. They're taking the willpower out of people. They're taking fighting aged, military aged males like myself, but I'm not in this situation. But people my age, your age, they're getting them addicted to drugs. They're taking them out of the fight, you guys, okay? China's playing long ball. We can't even play short ball, let alone long ball, okay? Let this stuff make sense to you. Not only that, you've got Chinese citizens crossing the border, all right? Military aged males from China illegally crossing in Mexico. Now ask yourself, what purpose would China have getting 30,000 or more citizens into your country undocumented? China can fly right in. They can come in with 6-month visas and etc. Why would you want these men in America undocumented? Well, you're getting behind enemy lines. All right, I'm gonna let this man finish.
How many moms do I have to sit next to in another round table in Texas who lost their son or their daughter to fentanyl? How many migrants have to die in the back of a tractor trailer in San Antonio? How many have to die in the Rio Grande? How many girls have to get sold in the sex trafficking trade before this body will wake up and stop an out-of-control president?
That's
Enough.
passion. That's not anger. That's
Why
passion.
would we fund that? That's my question for the Republican leadership. Why will you fund that? Let me be very clear. I will not continue to fund a government at war with the American people. We are here to change it. It is time to end it. And I'm proud to stand with these patriots to do that. I'm going to yield to the senator from Utah, Mike Lee.
You know, a lot said right here. And, I can piggyback on it. I can highlight some things, but I think what's been said so far should resonate pretty well with you guys. Please, when's the last time you heard a politician say they're tired of the government not sticking up for the American people? Not sticking up for us, okay? They're causing the most ungodly amount of division in our country when it comes to COVID, all right? Mask versus unmask, people that got the vaccination versus the ones that didn't, okay? Which, hey, created Karen on the internet, right? Karen was created because she probably wasn't vaccinated. Does that make sense? All right. Mask, unmasked, vaccinated versus non vaccinated, racism. Okay. Now what do we got? We got a trans agenda going on. Most of us don't care. I don't care if you want to have purple hair and cut whatever body part off of you want. I don't care. With that being said, we've got a trans issue going on that's more division. You know what's next? You know what's next? Aliens. Because guess what? That's another strong point for people. Do aliens exist? Does it matter? I don't necessarily know. It doesn't matter to me. I think it's another distraction technique that helps divide the American people. So we're not paying attention to what's really going on. We're paying attention to each other and our opinions. And then we get lost in social media and on the comment section of dumb videos, all right, arguing about whether or not aliens exist.
We're $33 trillion in debt. One reason. We're doing it wrong. This is how we do it. This is how we spend in Washington. We tie every single spending item to every other spending item, and then members of Congress are told, you've got to pass all of it in order to get any of it. You want to fund the troops, you want to fund Social Security, you want to fund this, that, or the other, then you have to fund everything else in between with no opportunity for individual input. So this comes about usually as we approach the end of a spending period, as we now are. On September 30th, we'll run out of money at midnight. At some point in the days leading up to that, typically what will happen is this. Small handful of appropriators will write something up with a push from the law firm of Schumer, McConnell, McCarthy, and Jeffries. And it'll materialize. Just Shazam, here you go. From out of nowhere, here it is. Usually there's just a few hours to go. You've got to pass this thing. And if you don't, there'll be a shutdown. If there's a shutdown, we will blame you for that. But hey, vote how you want. You will have no opportunity to amend this. You will have no opportunity to read it, to understand what's in it, to share it with your constituents, to object to it, to improve it, to cut it. Nothing. So the law firm of Schumer, McConnell, McCarthy, and Jeffries keeps changing the law firm. It keeps running the bills. And what happens is almost every member of Congress is cut out of that process. And what that means is that the hundreds of millions of people that most members of Congress represent are in turn cut out of the process. This process will continue. And its deadly deficit and debt ushering consequences will continue to devastate America until it no longer works. But it will work as long as members vote for this. It's time for the American people to expect more. It's time to expect an actual process and for members of Congress to have a say.
Can he be impeached? Absolutely. You know, if the House and the Senate majority come together and can vote to get him out, but that's not going to happen, okay? Statistically, no president has ever been fully impeached. You know, Donald Trump was impeached twice. It passed the House, it got knocked down in the Senate. So it's got to pass the House, it's got to pass the Senate before they can actually remove the sitting president from office. This is what I think is going to happen. All right. Based on history, I think it's going to get through the House. That's who's pushing it. They'll vote, they'll approve it. When it gets to the Senate, it's going to get knocked down. Democrats control the Senate. All right. But hear me out on this, okay? I've been seeing a lot in the media. There's a lot of conversation going on about Kamala Harris stepping up, taking office, okay? What I believe is going to happen, I firmly believe, this is my opinion, I think Biden will be the first president to actually fully be impeached and removed from office. Okay? Because they know they don't want to talk about his dementia, his Alzheimer's, his mental health condition right now. You know, what they want to talk about is the good things he's doing. But they know the American people all around despise Joe Biden. He's not the one calling all the shots. There's other people around him in the House, in the Senate, that actually call the shots, that make the decision. The president is just a whipping post. He's going to be the scapegoat for the Democratic Party, okay? I think he will fully be impeached so that way they can use him as a scapegoat and get him out of the way and say, see, America, look, we fixed the problem. No, they didn't fix the problem. They fixed the face of the problems. I think this is the perfect time for them to remove Biden and just blame everything on him and say we're on a different path. But they're not on a different path. All right. So that's how I think it's going to play out. But again, it's got to get through the House. It's got to get through the Senate for that to happen. But I think they're going to go ahead and capitalize on this because the conversations around Harris are starting. As many gaffes and stumbles as this man has had, you don't have to be a genius to understand he's slipping. If you made it this far in the video, I appreciate it. You know, give your comments, give your criticisms, like this video, subscribe to this video, help me grow this channel, you guys. And we'll dive off in the algorithm together, but I got a lot of stuff that I want to say, a lot of content to cover, but, you know, I appreciate you for tuning in. Again, if you made it this far, thank you.